I never imagined that the young man who offered to help me set up a simple coffee maker would end up changing my life in ways I couldn't have foreseen. That morning started like any other quiet, ordinary, and lonely. But sometimes life doesn't warn you before it turns everything upside down. I'm 60 years old, and for the past 15 years since my divorce, I've lived alone. My days follow quiet routines, the hum of the kettle, the flicker of the TV I barely watch, the silence between the walls that once held laughter. That morning, I went out to buy a new coffee maker, thinking it would fill a small gap in my daily life. But it wasn't the machine that made the difference. It was the man who carried it to my door. His name was Jake, 23, bright-eyed, polite, with an easy warmth that instantly softened the stillness in my house. As he stepped inside, I noticed how alive the room suddenly felt. He looked around, curious but respectful, as though trying to understand the story written in the small details of my life. "You live alone?" he asked gently. I nodded. His question hit harder than I expected. It wasn't just curiosity, it was understanding. The kind you only get from someone who knows the feeling of silence too well. There was an awkwardness at first, but underneath it, a strange sense of connection. We talked while he set up the coffee maker, about small things at first, then deeper ones. How fast life moves. How easily people drift apart. How sometimes, even surrounded by others, you can still feel invisible. He told me about moving to the city, about trying to find his footing. I told him about what it's like to start over when most people think your story is already finished. The more we spoke, the more that empty house began to feel alive again. At one point, he paused, meeting my eyes. "You know," he said, "some people just feel like home, even if you've only known them for a few minutes." That sentence stayed with me. It wasn't romantic, not exactly. It was something deeper, something human. A recognition of two lonely souls who had found understanding in the most unexpected moment. When he finished setting up the coffee maker, we shared the first cup together in the quiet kitchen. The aroma filled the air, and for the first time in years, I felt present. Not looking back at the past or forward to what might come, just here. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was warm, safe. "Thank you," I said quietly. "You've done more than set up a machine today." He smiled, unsure of what to say, but the look in his eyes told me he understood. After he left, I sat alone with my coffee, the steam curling in the air like a fragile promise. I thought about how a stranger could walk into your life for just an hour and somehow change how you see everything. Maybe that's what loneliness does. It makes you notice the small sparks that remind you you're still capable of feeling, of connecting, of being seen. As the sun began to set, I looked around my quiet home and realized something had shifted. It wasn't just the coffee maker sitting neatly on the counter. It was the feeling that perhaps I wasn't as invisible as I thought. I don't know if I'll see Jake again. Maybe it was meant to be a fleeting encounter, a gentle reminder from the universe that even the most ordinary days can hold something extraordinary. But that day, for the first time in a long while, I felt hope. And maybe that's enough. If you've ever met someone who appeared in your life at just the right time, even for a moment, you'll understand. Some connections don't need years to matter. They just need one honest conversation, one kind smile, one cup of coffee.